Hi everybody, happy Friday. It's Mrs. Oliver. I have a story for you guys today. I'm going to be reading Franklin's New Friend. And just like you've been doing all week with all of your other books, today we're going to work on talking about the main characters in the story, the setting where the story takes place, and the main events or the most important events of the story. So I'm going to read the story to you, and you're going to follow along with me, and we're going to stop as we're reading so we can talk about characters, setting, and main events. All right, here we go. Franklin's New Friend. Make sure we can see. All right. Franklin had always lived in the same house in the same town. He had grown up with his friends, and each one had a special place in Franklin's life. When Franklin wanted to play hide and seek, he called Fox. If he needed a best friend, he called Bear. Franklin never thought about making friends until a new family moved down the lane. So already on the first page, we have some important things that have happened. We've met a few characters. We met Franklin, and we met a few of his friends a little bit. They talked about Fox and Bear. And we already know something that's really important in the story is that there's a new family moving in near Franklin. All right. Franklin was curious about the newcomers. He rubbed his eyes, and the movers unloaded the furniture. The beds were made for giants, and the lamps were as tall as trees. When Franklin finally saw the family, he was speechless. So remember, too, the setting is like Franklin's house, like his neighborhood, because he's noticing his new neighbors moving in. Franklin had never met a moose before. He had heard about moose. He had seen pictures of a moose, but he had never actually known one. They were huge. Even the smallest moose was big. Franklin was so scared that he raced home. So another character is who? The moose, or the moose family that we're meeting that's moving in near Franklin. And he's feeling a little scared, so he went home. A moose family moved in. That's nice, said Franklin's mother. Maybe you'll make a new friend. Franklin shook his head. I don't think so. I expect you to be nice when you meet someone new, warned his mother. Franklin scowled. So this is another kind of important event in the story right now, is that Franklin's feeling a little nervous, a little worried about his new neighbors. His mother's telling him to make sure he's being nice to his new neighbors, but Franklin's a little scared of his neighbors. So I wonder if that's something that's going to change as we keep reading. The next morning, there was a moose in Franklin's classroom. Please give a warm welcome to your new classmate, said Mr. Owl. Do you notice where the setting is now? Where is the story taking place? It was at Franklin's house. Now where are we? Right, we're in the classroom, so the setting can change throughout the story as we're reading. Hello, Moose, said the class in unison. Moose mumbled hello and looked at his feet. He doesn't look very friendly, whispered Beaver. Mr. Owl told the class that Moose had come from a different place far away. Franklin, said Mr. Owl, I'd like you to be a buddy for Moose. Franklin tried to smile, but he was scared. Moose was so big. So he's being a buddy to Moose in the classroom, which means he's going to have to be friends with Moose and show him around. So that's important to know, too. Moose didn't say a word all morning. At recess, Franklin ran outside with his friends, leaving Moose behind. But Mr. Owl reminded Franklin that he was Moose's buddy. Do you want to play? Asked Franklin. Moose shook his head back and forth. Franklin was relieved. So again, the setting changed a little bit. Where are they now? Good, yeah, they're outside at recess. So they're still at school, but they're outside now at recess. And another important main event right now is about the moose and how the moose is feeling. So Franklin was the one who was a little bit worried about Moose at the beginning, right? And now Moose is here in the classroom, And if you look at Moose and remember what we were just learning about him, he's a little scared. He doesn't really want to play. He's been a little shy. So let's see. During recess, Moose stood alone as Franklin and his friends played soccer. Fox kicked the ball too hard, and it flew into a tree. "Now we'll have to go get Mr. Owl," growled Bear. "I've got it," cried Moose. He knocked the ball out of the tree and sent it flying to Franklin. "That was good," said Fox. "I guess," shrugged Franklin. So the moose helped out all the rest of the friends. It's important to know. Back in the classroom, Mr. Owl asked Franklin and Moose to make a poster for the bake sale. "I don't need any help," said Franklin. Mr. Owl talked to Franklin alone. "Try to imagine how Moose feels. He's new and he has no friends here. He's probably scared." "Moose can't be scared," said Franklin. "He's so big." Mr. Owl looked at Franklin. "Big or little, we all get scared." Franklin thought about that. So that's something that's really important. It's a really important event in the story. Is now Franklin's starting to realize something. Do you know what he's starting to realize? Just like what Mr. Owl said, big or little, it doesn't matter your size, everyone can be scared. So just like Franklin was scared of the moose at the beginning, the moose is the one who's scared now because he's in a new place. He doesn't know anyone. So let's see what happens. Franklin got the paints and the paper. "Do you want to help me, Moose?" "Oh, yes," said Moose. "I love to draw." They sat side by side and planned the poster together. Franklin realized that Moose didn't seem as big when he was sitting. So here they are now back in the classroom, working together to make a poster. After much work, the poster was perfect. They both thought so. At library time, Franklin taught Moose how to borrow books. And Moose showed Franklin how to cut a perfect circle. They both liked to build structures. Franklin and Moose had a lot in common. So what do you think? Do you think they're going to be friends? Let's find out. At lunch, Franklin made sure that Bear and his other friends got to know his new buddy. They liked Moose. Besides, he was a very good soccer player. When Franklin got home from school, he was happy. "Guess what?" he told his mother. "I have a new friend." "So you met Moose?" asked his mother. "What's he like?" "Moose is big," said Franklin, "but he's not mean or scary." "Good," said his mother. "Would you like to take some of these cookies to him?" So another important event in the story right now is how things have changed. Franklin is now coming home, the setting changing, going back to his house. Now he's home and he's excited about his new neighbor. He really likes Moose, and he's not scared or afraid of him anymore. Franklin went to Moose's house. They ate all the cookies together. "I'm glad you were my buddy," said Moose. "I was worried that nobody would play with me." "Really?" said Franklin. He could barely remember being afraid of Moose. So now the setting has changed one more time. Do you remember where he is now? Yeah, he's at Moose's house. He took the cookies over to Moose's house. From then on, Franklin and Moose played together all the time. Now, Franklin's new friend was a special friend. So I hope you enjoyed reading Franklin's New Friend with me today, and we learned a little bit about characters and how there can be lots of different characters in a story, about the setting and how in this story the setting changed a few times from Franklin's house to school to outside to Moose's house, and how we learned about the important events that happened in this story that took us from the beginning when Franklin was worried about getting a new neighbor and worried about the moose because he was big and scary, and how it all changed at the end, and how Moose and Franklin became friends because it didn't matter his size. He wasn't scary after all. So, I hope you have a chance to read a story today, and when you're reading a story, I want you to practice telling someone at home who the characters are, where the setting is, and something that's an important event, a main event in the story. All right, happy Friday. I'll see you guys soon. Bye.